Hey, RetconRaider here, with special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Eerie V23, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Nathan Welch Jr., RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started.
You did it! Orenetis.
Please, child. I'm not him.
It's a long story. This is Rose. She sent us here to save prisoners. Slaves.
I see. You are a brave halfling.
Thanks, I guess. But if you're not him, then who are you?
To put it simply, I'm his good side. The part he lacks.
He definitely does. And if we could somehow put the two sides back together, would he be nicer?
I believe so. Though he has to be willing.
We have to try. Things can't go on as they are.
He'll take some convincing.
It'll be hard to talk to him without all his goons around.
I may know a way.
Really?
There's a secret passage into the palace. Only the servants know about it.
And you never tried using that passage to murder Orenetis?
No one dared. It leads right into his winter garden. Would you face him? Help us convince him to reunite?
It seems to be the only way. Though I confess it scares me a little.
Fine then. If we do this, can you help us get out of the valley?
Ah, you mean the Redeemers. He controls their queen. If we succeed, then yes, I'll be able to help you.
Great. We have a plan. Finally.
Meet me at the safe house. I'll show you how to infiltrate the palace.
Okay, well, good to see you, Rose. Thanks for coming out to this highly dangerous top-secret military research facility. Good luck on your 100-mile journey back to the nearest settlement. I guess I will see you there. And welcome back to Solasta, Lost Valley. As apparently we're starting to head towards our end game here. I already suspected as much when we ran into Sit and Narrow. But Rose's presence here does seem to further verify that. That said, I guess it's just as well that Rose showed up like that, as nonsensical as it might have been, because I did end up running a poll between episodes, and by a surprisingly narrow margin of just 3 votes. The Raiders actually decided that we should back the people, so apparently we will be delivering Sit and Narrow to Rose, and then following through with this very questionable plan that they have proposed. However, based on some light research, it does sound like we can still complete the current stages of our Forge and Gartok quests without locking us out of that people ending, so we are going to make a couple of quick pit stops here. We'll swing by the Forge camp, have a chat with Hasdrubal, turn the research facility over to him, I guess, and then go meet up with our boy Gartok. Finally wrap up a quest that I believe we started over 20 episodes ago. And there's our final level up. Level 12. Which for Eben means more hit points and more attribute points. Which will, of course, go towards strength. Thanks to that manual of gainful exercise we picked up a ways back, he actually caps out at 22 instead of 20. As for spells, I'm pretty happy with what we've got. No reason to change that. I will say, though, I was expecting him to get access to level 3 spells once he hit 12. But apparently not. Apparently I just misread that chart or made the wrong assumption. No harm done, I suppose. He's already a killing machine, and honestly, while his spells haven't worked out quite the way I thought they would, I'm pretty satisfied with how he ended up. Wish we'd gotten more use out of that force pushing, but it is what it is. Next we've got Thygor. He picks up more hit points, an extra rage, and additional ability points. Which, for him, I'm thinking will actually drop into Con. While it would be nice to max out his strength at 20. As our resident tank and barbarian, he just gets more out of Con. Con is essentially pulling 3 times its normal weight. That's hit points, savings throws, and most of his barbarian abilities are keyed off of it, so it just feels like the smarter play, as opposed to getting another +1 to hit and damage. We're already steamrolling pretty much everything we run into, so I just don't think we need to go all in on boosting offense. Next we've got Garvin, and he will actually pick up a feat. As aforementioned, we're going to go ahead and grab him Enduring Body. That'll round his constitution up to 16, get him an extra level of hit points, and then an additional level of hit points on top of that, half of which will go to Spiegel. So again, that's a stat upgrade that's essentially pulling double duty. Not quite as good as Thygor's triple, but still a pretty sound investment. As for his final spell, it is not going to be Dark Vision. But by popular demand, we will instead pick up Hero's Feast. I've dragged my feet on this one because it honestly kind of felt like overkill, and it just goes against my nature to burn 1,000 gold pieces per casting. But, we might get some use out of it. We are headed into the endgame. I'm sure we've got a big fight or two ahead of us. And Mora. She's already super maxed out on the caster side of things, so we might as well max her out on the rogue side of things too. We'll grab that ability bump and max out her dexterity at 20. That'll not only give her an extra +1 to AC, which I think does give her the highest AC in the party, but that will also give her an extra bump to her rogue skills. She has been struggling with that a bit as of late. Then, as for her spells, we actually are going to drop something for once. We are going to drop Mage Armor, which, as aforementioned, has now become completely moot thanks to this snazzy new outfit we found for her. And then we will take that slot, and again, by popular demand, we'll use it to grab Chain Lightning, a max-level blaster spell. I really don't see that being all that much more practical than the spells we already have, but it is flashy, and you might as well bring out the big guns for the final fights. And that's it. That's level 12. Our heroes have reached their maximum potential. I will admit, they didn't quite turn out the way I thought they would, but still, a certified pack of badasses. Just in slightly different ways than originally envisioned. Man, oh man, look at all this vendor trash. I am glad that even if we're not seeing things through with the Forge, that we at least stayed on their good side. Losing access to the Forge boards would have been pretty rough.
We found what Orenetis was hiding in the jungle.
I'm all ears.
A secret laboratory.
He performs experiments on monsters to make them worse.
His goals may not be that simple, but still.
I knew it. I received reports of these mutants all around.
We thought you might like to take a look at the facilities.
You were right. There's plenty to learn and loot in such a place.
Well, it's pretty much rid of monsters, so you're free to go.
That's very much appreciated.
Yet it doesn't help us get back home.
I may have a way, although it's very dangerous.
What's that?
One of my informants in Caer Hifrid told me about a secret passage right into Orenetis' palace. And as for the Redeemers, he has a magical device that keeps them at bay. And with that thing, you could return to Masgard.
We know enough. Strike true, friend.
Clear skies, friends.
Right, okay. So, yeah, all paths are converging. Looks like all roads at this point lead to Orenetis. Apparently through the same secret path. Nice to see Hasdrubal actually gave us a reward this time, too. Though it feels a bit late in the game for them to be throwing these high-end crafting ingredients at us. Unless we've got another entire leg to our journey ahead of us. I don't really see us having enough time to craft any of that stuff. Oh, sadly, this does also seem to confirm that the Forge ending is incompatible with the People ending, because the objective they just tossed at us was to kill Orenetis, which would also kill Citinero, which is in direct odds with what the People apparently want us to do. Alright. Next stop, Gartok and Company. Wow, no random encounters. Okay. Time for a little Gar talk.
Hey, Gartok!
Little friends.
We're sorry. We found your friend in the Maker's prison.
He was dead.
Oh, sad. Medication did that, sure.
That is probably the case, yes.
Oh, is that it? I gotta say, I was kind of expecting more. Also, why did our rep with the Dominion go up? We got a huge boost there. We went from being completely hated to only slightly loathed. That doesn't feel right. I think that actually improved our rep enough that they'll no longer attack us on sight. In theory, we could just walk in and have a chat with Orenetis again.
Holgar was good friend.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that's working as intended. Samko. So what are you up to since we killed all your co-workers? Not much, apparently. Fair enough. I was half expecting her to attack us on sight, but at the same time, I can definitely imagine why she would not want to do that. Okay, back to Caer Hifrid. Places to go, people to see. There we go. Oh wow, double White Lords. You know, I was hoping to mix things up a bit, but this might actually be a problem. Where's the other one? That's not bad. We have to keep the White Lords away from our tag-alongs.
More coming your way.
Move Thygor around to intercept. Does Hold Monster work on undead? It very explicitly does not. Okay, what if we go for... What if we go for a banish? If we banish the White Lord on the right, then that would definitely buy us some breathing room. I think he's out of range. Yeah, that's not going to do it. Though, on the bright side, I don't think he's close enough to rush us and Circle of Death, either. That's really what I'm worried about here.
Solasta, Evo, Malmis. No quarter given.
We'll have to hope Mora can counter whatever they throw at us. Oh, hey, we can actually go down here. Well, that makes things easier. Yeah, I'm used to the taller bridge map, the one with the ruins lining either side. That one drops off into an instant death swamp. This one actually has paths running all around the edges. Yeah, I think we're fine.
Fortune is fickle.
Ha! Take that, you fiend!
Spiegel up.
Natura muto viripe.
Again, harder.
Good kill.
We'll be we'll be resting before we hit Caer Hifrid, so we'll go all out.
Solasta Evo. Armies. Light, my friend.
Ooh.
Finish off the Lord.
Arcana, Nuto, Viribe.
Nice, nice. Okay, yeah, it was really just that first round that we were in danger. If the initiative rolls had gone slightly differently, things would have gotten tragic quick.
Natura Encho Malmis.
More.
That I like.
We'll collect our loot. More out of habit than actual need at this point. Hey, Cloak of Elvenkind. Okay. We definitely don't need it, but we'll take it. We'll have to swing by a vendor real quick once we hit Caer Hifrid. Just to keep our inventory slimmed down, relatively speaking. Kill Orenetis. No, we're probably not doing that. Well, I guess it really depends on your exact definition of kill. In theory, Orenetis won't be around anymore. Not as he currently is, at least. Wait. Gartok has spread rumors that the complex was attacked by giants, so the city guard do not suspect you. Is that why our rep with the Dominion went up? I feel like that's something he really should have told us, because that was not at all communicated to us. He had like 2 lines about bad medicine, and then the conversation ended. And he definitely did not imply that he knew anything about Sit and Narrow, let alone that he was maneuvering his forces to back our play. I mean, on the one hand, I'm thrilled, because it does mean that the Gartok and the people endings are compatible, assuming Gartok even has an ending. I mean, he must. Why else would his quest still be active? But yeah, it feels like there was a real breakdown in communication here. Really? Wow. No dialogue sequence, no cutscene, not even floating text above her head.
Hey ya!
I'm assuming that opening sound we just heard was the secret passage, but I'm not seeing anything. What am I missing here? No one is explaining what we're supposed to be doing beyond vague terms and the occasional note in our journal. I mean, if Rose wasn't going to say anything to us when we got back, then why did she tell us to come back and meet her? Why didn't she just tell us then where the secret passage is? Then they could have just marked it on our map and we could have gone straight there instead. Okay, let's hit the pause button real quick. I need to figure out what's happening. I'll also hit that merchant while I'm at it. We'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so it turns out our secret passage is this manhole cover hidden under some bushes in the street. The sound we heard was the door behind us opening, which I guess was our clue to look outside. But I really feel like this could have benefited from a quick floating line or cutscene with Rose telling us to look in the bushes outside. Also, if Gartok wasn't running interference for us, the roaming guards would have immediately attacked us, and that would have been awkward. But it's fine, I guess. No harm done. Let's get in there. So where does that put us? Oh, that's, okay, yeah, I see where we are. Well, that'll still drop us right in his throne room. So, I mean, it looks like we're in for a fight anyway. Though, to be fair, it does get us past the archer's row out front. And here we go.
You? How did you? I'm here, and it's all that matters. I should have known outsiders could only betray me. We need to become one again. You know it. No. The valley is in a state of civil war. Surely that's not what you want. You don't even know what will happen if we do that. Let's find out.
Oh, hey, okay. Mora actually gets to make a persuasion check for once. Well, wonders never cease. All right, Mora, we've got a lot riding on this. Lay it on us. What's your pitch?
Come on, you need this, you know it.
Oh.
Fine. I agree. It worked. I am one again. Still, I'm an elf, not a dragon. But surely the many scholars of Solasta can help me become what I once was. You've done well, strangers. Take this. It will allow you to walk through the Redeemer's nests. Tell your people back home that we agree to open a diplomatic channel. I must rest now. I have much to ponder.
Who is Periphanos the Inquisitive Mind? That is a name we have never heard in this entire run. And I feel like I paid some pretty close attention to every scrap of lore we came across. We had several names that Orenetis could have ended up being. And that is a completely brand new one. But, I mean, okay, I guess we're done? I have thoughts. But I am going to hold my tongue until we see the rest of this through. Just in case there's other twists that might actually address my concerns.
The Lord Protector will be delighted.
I mean, that guy right there is a spy for the Masked.
I can't talk right now.
Yeah, none of this feels like it's properly updated for the events that have transpired. Oh, I guess we can't get back in. That's cool. So, no follow-up with Rose, I guess. Let's go back out to the world map, see where we're supposed to go next. Oh, just straight back to the merchant camp, okay. I thought that path was blocked. Didn't it collapse? Okay, come on, Lost Valley. No, come on. We've got the Scepter of Redeemer control. I guess he just doesn't want this back. I hope everyone else is happy living in this valley forever. It's fine, we'll just mail it back or something. Well, there's definitely a lot more Redeemers in there. So in theory, this would be a very scary fight if we didn't have that scepter. Oh wow, look at those guys. Juggernauts. We have never seen those. What about the Redeemer Queen? Is she in here? I'm not seeing anything. Can we just scoot through? Apparently we can. Really? Those rocks weren't here the last time we passed through here. Yeah, looks like a part of the roof has collapsed. Evan and Garvin thought very loudly to each other. That is exceedingly convenient. Nothing here either. This is weird.
You finally leave the valley and return to the Principality of Masgarth.
Oh?
The ruler on the throne is wiser than he ever was before. The citizens of the valley rejoice. The hidden research complex where Orenetis used to work on monsters is destroyed. No one will be able to repair the damage it has taken. Marenving is dead. The news might rejoice some of his old enemies in Masgarth and disappoint his debtors.
Oh, and that's it. We're done. Okay. They didn't even roll credits. Wow. Just, wow. You know what? Let's hit the pause button real quick. I'm gonna grab a drink and formulate some thoughts, and we'll wrap this up. 1 second. Hey, and we're back. Full disclosure, it's a couple of hours later. I tried recording this segment a couple of times. Wasn't really happy with how it turned out. And I went back and I ended up beating the game a couple more times to see some of the other endings. And I've got to say, it all really kind of falls apart there at the end. Just like the last couple of hours of the campaign in general, I think. But, you know, I don't want to sound too negative about it. So let me start this by saying I enjoyed this game. You know, much like Crown of the Magister, I consider it a flawed gem. Both games have things they do really well. The dungeons are fun to explore. The stories are interesting, if not always well presented. You know, the voice acting, as janky as it is, has its charm. And obviously, this game does a much better job, I think, of portraying the 5th edition D&D rule system than Baldur's Gate 3 does. The only other game that I can really compare it to, because for whatever reason, the D&D 5e rule set just hasn't really made it into many video games, though more than 4th edition did. And I do think it's obvious that Lost Valley tried to address some of the more common complaints from Crown of the Magister. They did somewhat more consistently present difficult encounters, for example. There were a few in there that had me sweating, even towards the end. Though at a certain point, like once we hit the secret complex, we were steamrolling everything. But at the same time, you know, I think that's because towards the end there, they just stopped really throwing hard encounters at us. I don't know what happened there. Every encounter started becoming just like 2 monsters in a hallway that we would just obliterate before they could even do anything. And then there were no boss fights. You know, that's really what ended up throwing me there at the end. There was no boss fight in the secret complex, no boss fight going up against Orenetis, no boss fight after Orenetis, and I was really expecting one. I don't know. I'm just really baffled with the entire direction the last couple of hours of the campaign took. And you know, like I said, I did go back and I beat it a couple more times with a couple of different endings, and they were basically the same. The only real difference being that sometimes we fought Orenetis, a caster who we started at point-blank range with, and a handful of woefully outclassed guards, the same type that we've been curb-stomping for the past, I don't know, 12 episodes? Honestly, though, you know, that's fine. You don't have to have a big climactic boss fight at the end of a game. There are plenty of classic CRPGs that you can theoretically end without ever firing a shot or swinging a blade or whatever. You know, I mean, I love Fallout, the original Fallout, and that is a game that you could beat by just convincing the master he was wrong, and he would destroy himself. You never fired a shot, and it still felt like a very satisfying ending because it felt like you had earned it. There was a great story you followed up to that point. You leveraged your knowledge of the story to convince the master he was wrong, and of course your skills and such as well. You know, that played a role. And you were ultimately victorious. The problem here, though, is that it didn't really feel like we earned it. You know, it wasn't just the lack of combat. There wasn't a strong enough narrative to really get us invested in what was going on. There were no shocking twists to keep us on our toes. A lot of the elements of the story were either underexplained or just felt like they were literally making them up as they went along. You know, I give them props for the Orenetis sit and narrow split, as silly as it was. That is something that could theoretically happen in the setting, as established in Crown of the Magister. But they did almost no work setting it up beforehand. There were no clues. There was nothing that made it suddenly click, where you're like, oh, that's what happened, of course. And that's one of the things I really love about playing these games, is collecting lore and clues and theory crafting about what it all might mean, and then feeling vindicated when I'm even partially correct when we get to that point of the story. You know, likewise, what was the guy's name? It was like Porphynos, the Inquisitive one. That character was never foreshadowed. Why wasn't he just Orelithis? Orelithis was name-dropped a couple of times. He had his own private room in the secret complex. Unless I suppose Orelithis was supposed to be the leader of the rebellion. That is one ending I have not done, because I would have had to go back a fair bit to actually see that. Same with the Dominion ending, which is a shame, because I actually hear that that is quite possibly the most interesting of the endings. But that actually sort of brings me to my other big point of frustration here. There was a lot of potential in this story, as rough as it was. I appreciate that the writers, the developers, went into this wanting to give us a much more free-form, non-linear adventure, and I enjoyed that. I liked that we could pick which factions we worked with and which ones we ultimately sided with in the end. But rather than having a set of 5 separate interwoven narratives, they really kind of just ended up each having their own completely segregated solo narrative, even the ones that did technically overlap. The events in one path didn't directly affect the events in the other path. We revealed that Samko was a spy, but no one cared. She just kept living at that forge camp forever. In fact, I think that was her in the in that still frame of Marin Ving, dead in the inexplicably dead in the Lost Temple in Verdant Valley, as opposed to where we killed him back in Caer Hifrid. But, you know, that's fine. But the plotlines should have had better convergence points, and they definitely should have had a better payoff at the end, regardless of who you sided with. We ended this not knowing what Orenetis was really trying to accomplish, or what the leader of the rebellion really was. Though, I mean, I know now from looking at some other things that he's a mummy. He's the guy in the trailer. And based on other things I just looked at, I think the implication is that Orenetis was planning to become a lich to escape the Achilles heel that Sit and Narrow represented, which would have been a great twist. it wouldn't matter if Citinero died if Orenetis was already technically dead, and that would certainly explain the key art, the picture of Orenetis with his face bisected and a lich face on the other side. I mean, I have no way of knowing if that is actually the case. I'm theory crafting here, because they never revealed it in our arc. I mean, how much more engaging would it have been if we had gone in there with Citinero, demanding that he recombine himself or face the consequences of Citinero's potential death, only for him to reveal that he had already removed that weakness, for him to transform into his ultimate boss form and force us into a climactic battle. We still could have basically gotten the same feel-good ending, only with Citinero sitting on the throne as the benevolent, non-dragon ruler of the realm. But we also would have gotten a really great twist, a big explanation for what the complex was about, and a great ending fight. Even if you still wanted to combine the two, there are plenty of other ways they could have easily worked in a different, alternate, climactic battle. Just off the top of my head, if I were a dungeon master running this campaign, I would have had the rebels attack. I would have had the big reveal of who their leader is, and a legendary mummy lord would have entered the fray, leading a last-ditch attempt to eliminate Orenetis/Citinero while they were still weak and disoriented from their fusion. Or they would have ambushed the party on the way back to the merchant's camp, as revenge for our meddling in their affairs. Or the Masked, even if Marin Ving was dead, which apparently he was. I don't know why it wasn't reflected in our journal, but we got the end slide. They clearly still had agents running around all over the place. They could have also tried a last-ditch revenge scheme against us, which would have certainly spiced things up a bit. They could have made that whole fusion ceremony take more than 5 seconds. I mean, imagine how much more exciting it would have been if the fusion took 10 rounds to complete, and that whole time, what's-her-face, Orenetis' right-hand man, whose name I've completely forgotten because we only ever met her once. What if she was leading repeated assaults on the throne room, trying to disrupt the ritual? I did notice that she was missing after we fused the two, so that would certainly imply it's something she did not want to happen. We even had vague allusions to a Redeemer Queen, one that was supposedly hidden away in the valley somewhere, which just really didn't go anywhere, and I'm not sure if it is something in any of the paths. I mean, that might have made a fun final quest, regardless of which factions were still standing at that point. Imagine if the scepter had been damaged during that final confrontation, possibly even deliberately if Orenetis was about to bite it, requiring the player to go to the facility, whatever secretive place, that Orenetis was storing the Redeemer Queen, so the player could find a replacement scepter or repair this one, possibly culminating in a battle against another legendary boss. I'm not saying that all of those things should have happened. It would have been pretty cluttered, and obviously certain things would be shut out based on the player's decisions up until that point. But any one or two of those things would have made for a much, much more satisfying ending. It would have left a lot less dangling plot threads, and it would have made that ending feel a lot more earned, as relatively sparse as that ending was. I mean, that's a whole separate issue. And, I know they're working on a budget, so I'm not really going to harp on them on that. But I will say I was getting a bit concerned there towards the end that they were just rushing to get this thing finished when we started running into those fragmented conversations towards the end, or in some cases just no conversations. The 4-line ending was just kind of the icing on the cake, especially since, as near as I could tell, every one of those slides had something wrong in it. I have no idea who that blind elf in the blue robes was, for example, posing with the people. We never met that character. Marin Ving was dead in the wrong location, and we repaired the secret complex. We gave it to the Forge. That should have been reflected in the slide. Or it should have at least stated that, what's-his-face, the Inquisitive one, whose name I've already forgotten because he never actually said it out loud. It was only ever shown in the subtitles. They should have at least said that he ordered the place shut down, which would have made sense. Since he was apparently a former researcher there. I don't know. I mean, look, it's It's easy for me, as a player, to sit on the sidelines and nitpick about all this stuff. Because I'm not in their shoes. I don't know how hard it is to develop a game. But as a player, I liked the early stretch of game. And seeing how it all sort of fell apart there at the end makes me wish it had all come to a more satisfying conclusion. And the Dungeon Master in me just can't help but imagine the numerous ways that they set up for more satisfying endings, and then just, for whatever reason, didn't realize those other possibilities. That said, again, just to leave off on a higher note, I enjoyed this game. I don't regret doing a series about it. I'm glad we saw it through to the end. If they release a third campaign, or if they do another crowdfunder for a completely different game, I would definitely look at them. But with the caveat that I hope they would have learned from their experience with these first two campaigns. No one starts off making perfect games. It's all a learning experience, I get that. There's a lot of promise in these games. That's why it's so frustrating for me when they make what I see as big missteps. But hey, much like with Wasteland 3, the fact that I'm getting so worked up about it is really just a testament to how much I enjoyed the game, how much I got invested in it, and how much I wish it was better. That is certainly better than the games that I genuinely did not enjoy, and you know, the less said about them, the better. Anyway, I have been rambling for like 15 minutes straight now, so we really need to wrap this up. You get the idea. Long ramble short. I enjoyed the game, janky as it was. The ending let me down, but that's fine. It's just as much about the journey as it is about the destination. I hope to see more from Tactical Adventures in the future, Solasta or otherwise. And, hey, be sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That said, this adventure has come to an end. But there's always more looming on the horizon, and it's only a matter of time before we pick a new one to pursue. See you then. Oh, and as much as I did enjoy playing Solasta Lost Valley, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website. And if you'd like to help support the channel, maybe see more series or videos like this one, feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.